Hello, welcome to Wrestling Royalty. I'm as always, Andy. I'm joined by a couple of very special guests today. I've got to return the favour because whenever I've been on their stream, I get hyped up by Dom and Sam. So I've got my work out for me. But as you can see, I am joined by Dom and Sam. I'm not sure which order you'll see this in, so I'll just kind of point all around the place. These guys are doing some amazing work on a multitude of different platforms. So to do them proper justice, I am just going to ask them to explain who they are and just give you a little bit of background about themselves, really. So, Sam, let's start with you, mate.
Oh, wow. I'm not used to going first. Right, okay. So I'm a SmackDown host along with Dom, who is... No, hang on. Dom, there he is. On GimmieAHullYeah. Dom and I also run WrestleSphere, which is a wrestling spin-off of Soundsphere magazine, which is an empire Dom built all on his own, all about music journalism. But because we're such wrestling fans as well, we thought, right, we got to do something wrestling related here as well. And my day job is working for Deserto, video game website. Reviewing and writing games, guides, stuff like that. And I'm waffling, so over to you, Dom. Sorry, Andy, that's your job to do, not mine. I'll stop.
No, you throw it forward, mate.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I apologise for being super late before we started the stream. I appreciate your understanding, Andy, to Wrestling Royalty. It's always nice to be here. My name is Dom. I'm the editor of Soundsphere. We are very lucky to have people like Sam and people like yourself actually doing wonderful work for us, features around wrestling, around music and stuff like that, which is a great privilege. We've been able to work around the world for many years now, or from a base. Well, I'm based in Yorkshire, but we have people working all around the country. Sam is in Lancashire, you're in Newcastle, so there's loads of people all around the world that do stuff for Soundsphere. It's a great privilege. WrestleSphere is brand new, wrestling stuff. We're posting proper news. We're posting official news from official platforms at WrestleSphere. We're quite excited about how that's going. We've also got interviews with UK indie talent. We'll have some WWE interviews on there. We'll have some AEW interviews on there. We'll have some Impact Wrestling interviews on there. And the short version is that we are going to WrestleMania this year, and it'll be my very first WrestleMania. I'm very excited about it. Obviously, me and Andy and Sam obviously work in the media. But I wanted this one to be special. It means something to me. So I'm going to go to taking my friends with me, having some fun, without the pressures that inevitably come with working in media at doing wrestling and sports entertainment. So that's what's brought us here today. So yeah, and that's me, I guess.
I love that. That's a good brief.
Just a short version.
You nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. So before we properly go into it, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the opening video because I would always forget to do that otherwise. So here we go.
Goosebumps from that.
So, it reminds me of the opening. It reminds me of the opening of The Fiend. I love it. Just the opening beats of that Fiend theme, which I love. It's great.
So now you know who Dom is. You know who Sam is. You already know who I am. You've seen the intro. So why are we here today? As Dom said, we're going to have a chat about WrestleMania weekend. However, unlike what might come in about a week and a half, or maybe 2 weeks, where we chat about the actual WrestleMania card. This is going to be more about what to expect in terms of traveling to LA, what to expect in LA, what kind of events have we got on, and there's a lot to kind of go through. And I think it's really useful. I've had a few friends reach out and ask me a few times, how do you kind of go about putting together going to WrestleMania? Are there different ways to do it? What's the kind of expenditure that you should be budgeting for? And there's kind of long and short answers here. So I know that the guys are traveling slightly differently to how I'm doing it. So you'll get a couple of different ways that you could get to WrestleMania out of this. But hopefully anyone who's watching, as long as you finish this video and you think, actually, I know how to do this or what I won't do, or if anything, you're going to hear me, Dom, and Sam make some plans for WrestleMania weekend, which I'm sure you'll enjoy anyway. So let me try and find how I can present the slides I've got.
Oh, nice.
So
Slides, professional stuff.
No, I'm going to just do a work presentation, right? While we're waiting for me to do this, what I will ask you guys is, straight off the bat, what are you most excited about? And how long have you been looking forward to going to a WrestleMania? Because I believe for both of you, this is your first ever WrestleMania. So how long have you been waiting to go to the grandest show of them all?
Yeah, Sam, do you want to take this, dude? First one?
Bloody hell, this is a long one. Right. Well, it felt out of reach when I was a kid. So since I was about probably like 9 or 10, it just felt so out of reach. As an adult, I've always had the ambition. I always kind of planned on going to New Orleans and seeing it there and dragging my wife to every single event. But yeah, that's how long really, since I was a little kid, since I've been a wrestling fan. And so doing it now at 35 is just like, because the opportunity is, has come, and Dom and I and the other guys are going to kind of do it as fans, and we're just going to, again, drink it all in, as Dom said, and then drink it in, man. And then maybe see from there if we want to go and represent WrestleSphere in a more professional capacity at a later date, and GimmieAHullYeah as well. So we'll need to kind of represent them too. So I thought my stream died. Then it's a slide.
No, just getting the first slide up, because obviously we need to get in the plug that is apparently sponsored by Snickers in 2K23 as well.
Yeah.
See, now I want a Snickers.
Yeah, I also want a Snickers now. Yeah, thanks, Andy. Yeah. So, I've wanted to go my entire life. It was like a lot of things. It was one of those things that I was sort of told as a young person growing up with cerebral palsy that it was probably beyond what I was capable of doing. Traveling to America in the first place, I kind of shattered those expectations as a student and went to America and studied, and then it kind of changed my whole life. And so I knew that I could travel on my own. I knew that I could travel with friends. I knew that I could travel with family, you know what I mean? So basically I've been waiting to do this ever since I was a kid, being told it wasn't possible around 8 years old. WrestleMania was the dream. I'm now 36 years old. So to have the opportunity to do that is wonderful. Now, the reason why, as many people will know, Andy obviously works in wrestling media as well, as part of Wrestling Royalty and Rush on Rock, and I'm lucky enough to do that with Soundsphere and lucky enough to do that with Sam as part of WrestleSphere. There was a big compulsion that was like, oh, we'll try this, we'll do it as media, and we'll chance it. But I thought to myself, I've been wanting to do this my entire life. I've had family and friends since, in recent years, since I've grown up, and become obviously teenager, adulthood, etc. And they've seen what I can do. They now push me, where they used to be like, oh, don't do that. Yeah, don't go traveling. Don't do that. It's not safe. Now they're like, yeah, go to WrestleMania. So I've had my family, everybody pushing me in recent years to do this, because it's one of those things that was a bucket list thing, and I'm lucky and fortunate to have done a lot of things that were on my bucket list, except for WrestleMania. It sounds like a WrestleMania speech. It sounds like I'm like an Aldi Cody Rhodes now.
Cut the promo.
I've done everything except Cody Rhodes. Oh, he's quite nice. He's quite a nice man, but that's another conversation.
Handsome man.
He's a very handsome man. I've done everything. I've done a lot of things, but I've never done WrestleMania. So, and I was like, how can I guarantee that I'm going to do that? I was like, right, cool. Well, we'll invest some money. We'll do it. But I didn't want to just do it on my own. I knew that a lot of our media friends, people like yourself, Andy, would be there, so that would be great to see them. But I wanted to do it with my friends. So we got together. We talked about the what was possible. Unfortunately, it's happened, and a very worthwhile, once in a lifetime experience for us all. You know what I mean? Like it's just the stars have aligned and everybody's coming, and it's going to be a dream come true. I'm so excited. I'm also nervous. I'm also anxious. I'm anxious every time I travel. Every time it's anxiety inducing, but I can't wait, man. I'm going with Anthony's one of my oldest friends. I've known him for 20 plus years. Dan, I met 2 years ago when I was buying a phone, and we obviously hit it off and have become, incredible friends. And Sam, of course, we met through work, and Sam doing work for me, but then we've become great friends through, and I've managed to, kind of persuade him to come on board on the podcast and also work for me and also do the podcast and also be my friend. You are my friend, Sam. No, okay.
An expert in gaslighting, just like slow, sure. But I'm happy you did.
Yeah. So it's all worked out really well. And obviously, Andy, I'm so excited to see you. You've been, ever since we met in Cardiff, you've been just a great person to know, not just as a media buddy, but just as a nice dude. So it seems like the stars have aligned. A lot of good people I know are going to be at Mania. I've got a chance to see a lot of my friends that have moved from the UK to LA. They're going to just pop and see us for dinner or pop and see us in the hotel and just say hi. Say hi. So that's exciting because there's people I haven't seen for years that are now doing things in LA. So just it feels like, touch wood, can be quite superstitious, but it does feel like the stars have aligned a little bit and we've made it happen. So wonderful.
This is a big one.
Sorry, Andy, go ahead. Sorry.
This is a big one for you guys to kind of have as a first, because you are literally traveling, West Coast it's quite a commitment. It's a long flight. It's probably the longest in terms of having a WrestleMania in the States that you've chosen to go to. So it's going to be amazing, for everyone to kind of be there and soak it all in. I've noticed there is a couple of comments. So hello to those that are watching. There's Mark, who I believe some of these guys are the ones who will be on the stream later for SmackDown as well. So you've got Mark, LFC UK, who's saying hello. So nice to see you, Mark. Thanks for joining us. Martin B, so happy to hear you're both attending your first WrestleMania. My tip for you both is enjoy every second, soak up the atmosphere because it's an incredible experience. See you all there. #Mania LA.
What a lovely comment. What a lovely guy Martin B is. Thank you, Martin B. Join us for SmackDown, mate. We like you.
Thank you for tuning in and commenting. And I'm sure if you want to kind of keep going with any kind of comments, join us. Just have a conversation. It's fun. So everyone points when they go to the Royal Rumble. When they win the Royal Rumble, they point to the sign. But let's face it, there's one sign that I would imagine there'd be a lot of wrestling fans pointing at, which is the Hollywood sign. And I'm actually really looking forward to it. I personally, although I've been to WrestleMania and been to America a lot, it's normally the East Coast. I've been to New Orleans, never been to the West Coast. Always wanted to go, so I'm very excited just to be able to go to that side of the US. And I'm sure you guys as well, being kind of film fans and TV shows and things like that, seeing that Hollywood sign, I think is going to be a bit surreal the first time.
So I've been. I've got a lot of friends from college. I did broadcast as one of my modules over there. So if you went to college in New Hampshire, you either went one of three places. You went to Boston, you went to New York, or you went to LA. So I had friends split. So I got to go a few years back when I was working in Boston to visit some friends. The Hollywood sign is cool. LA is great. It's a cool vibe. It's warm. It's quite. There's obviously there's quite different sides to it. There's definitely different. Depending on where you are, it can be very different in terms of the glitz and the glamour and the not so much. But there's some wonderful people there. People were very friendly. Got to do all the touristy bits going down the strip, which I think Anthony really wants to do. His dream is to go and hang out at the Whiskey A Go-Go. So I've made a promise that we'll do that. But yeah, a lovely environment. Lots of tourists, obviously, around that part. But I think we're all going to enjoy it. I'm super excited to go back because I always wanted to go back. The friends I actually stayed with there I don't live there anymore, but it's again, I've got other friends there. I really like going around Venice Beach and stuff like that and doing all that stuff, and just seeing the skaters. There's lots of like people doing like skateboarding and stuff. It's just a good vibe, and again, really warm. And obviously, where we are in our country, well, basically all over our country, just a lot of rain a lot of the time.
It's been snowing this week. It's been ridiculous.
It has been snowing.
Snowmounds in my front garden. Anyway,
yeah, it's been amazing. So I've had a lovely time there, and I'm very excited to go back. And I'm excited to go back with people that have because Sam, have you been to LA before?
No, mate. I've never even been on to that coast. I've been to America plenty of times, of course, with either work or for pleasure, but no, LA's not one of the places I've been to. So it's like you say, mate. There's two things I'm looking forward to. That's the wrestling and the bars and stuff. Ant reminded me that there's more to do there than just watch wrestling, Sam. Think about Whiskey A Go Go and some of the bars and stuff. So Ant's got me really excited for that. And Jack was mentioning, speaking of the Hollywood side, was mentioning some of the studios that are there. Again, I don't know if that's something we'll have time for, but I know he's very keen to do that. But for me, that vision you just shared, Dom, of walking down Venice Beach with my GimmieAHullYeah hat on, literally, I'm going to be wearing a GimmieAHullYeah hat, and my WrestleSphere hoodie will be just.
You're going to be boiling, mate. You're going to be boiling.
I know. Well, I don't know, because like Jimmy Kimmel keeps talking about it's snowing and it's cold there, and I was looking at the weather forecast, and they were saying that it's like 16, 18 degrees, and that's not boiling. That's like a nice day in the UK, and I feel the cold, so I think I'll bring my hoodie and I'll be all right. If I have to take it off, I'll take it off.
On that weather front, I was looking at the kind of 30-day forecast, and it is saying the Saturday, WrestleMania Saturday, is due to be 28 degrees.
Oh!
It could get quite warm, could get quite toasty, especially for some northern boys from the UK.
Yeah, works for me, mate. Absolutely. Works for me. Sun's out, guns out. Anyway.
And then, I think this Sunday, I don't think the whole time we're there, it dips below 23 degrees. So a nice refreshing break from, as you say, the snow that's been around this week. But I think before we go any further, it's worth kind of having a bit of a chat about what we booked, or how we kind of booked to actually get there in the first place. If you want, and there's no pressure here, because like you might not have had a good experience, you might have had a very good experience. Do you want to tell us about the agency that you booked it for, the company that you booked it through?
Yeah. So Jack and I, Jack has ataxia, and I have cerebral palsy. So Jack had always talked about the accessibility of a company and the support that a company called MVP Travel had provided him. Now, MVP Travel do American events, again, basketball, all that sort of stuff. They happen to be based in York, which is very close to where I am. And when both me and Jack went to university there, so it just sort of was quite handy, because he kind of went with them. I believe he knows a couple of the people that set it up, but they've been really supportive. And obviously, they'd supported Jack. And I thought, again, once I'd made the decision, because there was a period of time where I was like, no, we'll hold out for media accreditation. And then I kind of made the choice. I was like, no, we're going to do this. This is a big deal. It's in LA. Once in a lifetime. So I asked Jack, he sent me the link. I got straight on the phone to the representatives at MVP Travel. They've been nothing but supportive. Obviously, it's it was an expense, but again, it's not something we can, definitely not something not something we'll be doing maybe every year. I mean, who knows, but certainly this was, again, once in a lifetime, and I treated it as such. And I was like, here we go. We're going to do this. We're going to book this. They were really supportive. MVP Travel in York. Again, they do stuff around. They book for people all over the country to go to WrestleMania, to some of the basketball stuff, hockey, I believe, a lot of the sports. And they do a fantastic job. I've had nothing but a positive experience with them. They sorted the flights out, sorted the buses from the airport to the hotel and back again. Obviously, buses between events too, because we're doing the Hall of Fame. We're doing the Mania night 1 and night 2. We're doing the Raw after Mania as well, and then we're going back. So I think, I don't know, maybe we're doing something on the Friday. So we've got quite we're in SmackDown. There you go, SmackDown before. So there's a lot we're doing in a very short period of time. And I think one of the things I would say to anybody, you know, obviously Andy, you could talk about your experience because you've done it before. I think in future, you know, like I say, we'll be trying to do media stuff. That's certainly what our intention is for Money in the Bank. But we try to do media for Mania. Maybe, you know, fingers crossed if that relationship is positive. But I would certainly allow for more time. I think I'd like a little, you know, couple of days space to chill, you know, either side. Just because, again, I struggle with accessibility sometimes, things like that. So for me, I think I'd give myself 2 days either side of those events in future. But it just worked in because I made the decision very quickly, wanted to support, wanted to, you know, again, make sure everybody else got involved and we could have everybody else involved. And again, it's worked out really well. But you know, so I would say no complaints about the service from MVP Travel for sure.
Great.
Just to put MVP over even more, if I can. I had a bit of an issue with my flight today. I kind of woke up I realised it last night, and I spoke to them this morning with a concern. You know, I won't go into details, but they absolutely smashed it. They sorted it out. They jumped on it. It wasn't their error. It was an error, like a clerical thing that the plane company had done. And MVP they handled it all, put my mind at ease. So just big love to them, and thank you for making what could have been a very stressful situation a completely no stressful situation. Thank you so much for that, guys.
That's great to hear. I know there's a couple of companies in the UK that do kind of specialise. Or certainly do deal in kind of doing wrestling events across whether it's the States or Japan. So it is good to hear that you get well looked after. From my experience, this will be my 4th WrestleMania, and for each of them I've done, I've just kind of pieced it together myself and kind of taken bits of information. The first one I went with a friend who had been to a lot of them before and said, like, you can go through these, and it does take, as Sam just said, if you have any kind of issues, they take the stress out of it, go through someone. But if you kind of want to do it on your own budget, on your own time scale, arrive when you want to arrive and kind of move around a lot on your own, then it is possible to do it yourself. And I know that is an increasingly popular way of doing it. I know WWE also offer certain packages in terms of ticket packages, which takes the stress out of having to get those yourself as well. Because as a lot of people can attest, whether you're in WhatsApp groups or a Facebook group, I know there's a few of them around in terms of, you know, talking about WrestleMania and things like that. It gets very hectic around the on sale times, as probably people experienced most recently for Money in the Bank in the UK. It used to be worse than it was this year, but it can get a bit hairy when you're trying to get a specific block or a specific viewpoint that you want for WrestleMania, even more so for Raw and SmackDown when it's in a smaller arena, because what you've got to remember is you've probably got the best part of 50, 60,000 people from around the world descending into one area that are there for WrestleMania, and they want to take in as many kind of wrestling shows, probably WWE more than anything as well. So you get those hot ticket events such as Raw, SmackDown, NXT, etc. So for me, the way I kind of work it, and what I would say to anyone, is set yourself a budget of what you think you're comfortable with spending, and then try your best not to go over it. You can make things as cheap or expensive as you want. The way I kind of do it is I'm already looking at hotels for next year for WrestleMania 40, which is in Philadelphia. I think it's going to be an amazing event. But the way I work it is I'll book my hotel through something like booking.com. And I'll always try and pick a hotel that has free cancellation and pay upon arrival. This basically means you're taking any kind of hassle out, because if something comes up and you can't go, you just cancel the hotel. You've lost nothing, but you've got it nice and early when the prices are low. So as soon as they put the location on sale for 40, 41, then it's worth jumping on. So I'd say if you haven't already, have a look and see if anything's in your budget already for Philadelphia. And if you can get one where you don't have to pay till arrival and it's free cancellation, you're not losing anything other than you've got one foot on the door and halfway there. Then in terms of flights, you've got your things like Skyscanner. I'd always make sure if you are booking flights through something Skyscanner is try and go through the airline itself, purely because I have heard horror stories of people booking through like companies that you've never heard of before, and they're a bit of a front for just taking your money, and then you have to go through a lot of paperwork to try and get it back if they cancel, or sometimes they'll cancel the week before and you're in a bit of strife trying to get a cheap flight sorted. So as long as you kind of remain with reputable airlines, you'll be absolutely fine. The good thing about next year, for example, it's East Coast. It's a fairly big airport. It's easily accessible. So I think most of them you might have to change at one airport, or London you can go straight through from. So it's worth checking out just to see ballpark figures. I think I looked earlier today to Philadelphia, you're looking at about $350 without kind of baggage. So, if that's something that a price that you've got in there in your head, fantastic. And then when it comes to WrestleMania tickets, you can sit up in the cheap seats, and they are cheap seats. You can get them for like $50 for a combo ticket. So you could there, if you just want to be in the building, $50. That's all all it takes. And I think that's a very good price for being at WrestleMania, and that goes all the way through to spending thousands of dollars to be ringside. I don't know about you guys. Like, I would at one point in my life like to be ringside at WrestleMania, but
Yeah,
it's a dream. If it doesn't happen, I've been to WrestleMania and that's all that counts. So I don't know, is that something that you guys would ever want to do? Would you ever justify the money that it would take to do that?
Well, I mean, I think we'll see. I mean, I can almost guarantee that I'm going to have a good time with good people, and that's what I wanted to again guarantee by doing it this way this time. So, ringside at Mania, yeah, it's a dream. Maybe we'll do it one day. Maybe we'll be there. From in a different capacity. We'll be there. There is media ringside at WrestleMania, although I'm not entirely sure they'll put us at ringside. But yeah, maybe one day. Let's see if this Mania is wonderful first, and I think it will be. I mean, you mentioned Philadelphia there. Maybe we'll want to go straight to Philadelphia. Who knows? So that would be wonderful. I've never been to Philadelphia, so that would be cool. So yeah, maybe.
Hey,
I now want. Oh, sorry, mate. I was going to say I now want a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Sorry, Anthony. Go
100%. Philly cheese sandwich while doing the Rocky steps to get to the statue outside the town hall. So this year though does pose an interesting dilemma. Me and Sam were talking about this before we came on in terms of hotels and where I'm staying. I think this is something that probably quite a few people going this year have had a bit of a dilemma to think about. In some cities in America, the arena and the stadium are situated next door to each other. So Philadelphia, they are next door to each other. It makes the decision very easy on where you want to stay. New Orleans was even more so a few years ago. They had both the Superdome and I think it's called like the Smoothie Arena or something, Daft Dunkin' Donuts, whatever, are within spitting between each other. So when it's like that, it's very easy to decide. Los Angeles, however, we have the Crypto Arena, which most people will probably remember as being called the Staples Center. And for me, it will always be the Staples Center. It doesn't matter what it's called now. That is in downtown LA. So that'll be where you've got Raw, you've got SmackDown, you've got your Hall of Fame. Pretty much every indie show, I believe, is around the downtown area or slightly north of that. I think you've got a few in like East Hollywood. I can't think there's many elsewhere other than that. But then the actual WrestleMania nights are happening in SoFi Stadium, which you can see is the sort of smaller middle rung there, down towards the airport. So I would imagine the vast majority of people who are watching this will probably be flying into LAX, which is the international airport, which I believe when I looked it up is about a half an hour taxi journey or Uber journey to SoFi Stadium. So yeah, a bit of a dilemma as to where you want to stay. So do you stay near the stadium for the 2 nights, which is what I'm thinking I'm going to do. I've currently got 2 hotels booked, so I still have yet to make that final decision. Do I stay in downtown? Do I stay near the stadium? Really, what I should have done is split the difference and gone earlier in the week to downtown, but I digress. You guys are staying in downtown LA, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, the Indigo downtown. for anyone who wants to come hang out with us. Looking forward to it. Again, it'll be a cool experience. Again, very, very lucky that we're able to do it. The hotel looks good. MVP Travel have set it all up for us. Again, it's not that I because I would like to do a future Mania the way you've done it, Andy. Do it on my own terms. But yeah, again, I wanted to make sure, because there was so many moving parts to this. We're all booked in together. You know, I want to make sure everybody's experience is cool. You know, and I wanted to make sure everybody had, you know, what was going to be looked after. I mean, to be fair, I'm saying that, and it's going to be very punk rock. We're all in the same room. We managed to get all in the same room, in the same hotel. So it's going to be like going back to touring internationally and sleeping on. I'm probably going to be sleeping on floors or top to tails or on top of Sam. He doesn't know this yet, but yeah,
mate, I'd rather wake up to your face than your feet, if I'm being honest.
Well,
mate.
okay. Well, but maybe we can spoon. So as it stands, as far as I'm aware, Jack booked separately. Jack is, but I don't think it'll last too long. I think he'll be in our hotel room before long, because we are planning on doing some GimmieAHullYeah live stuff from Mania, from the hotels. We're all in together. So it's me, Dan, Sam, and Anthony all in together, one room. So it's going to be punk rock, man. You know, so while I say that my priority was always to make sure we were all looked after and make sure we were all comfortable, I'm not entirely convinced we are all going to be comfortable, because we're all sharing facilities. We're all sharing, stuff. So I think it's going to be quite punk rock, actually.
Jack, you might have a roommate, mate, if you're watching this. I'm just saying, it probably won't be me, but it might end up being Dom or Ant, I don't know. But me and Dan will secure our room. I don't know. I think it'll be all right, mate. It's a big ass room, you know, massive big ass beds and stuff. Will be all right. And we'll be too drunk to care anyway, I imagine by that point.
Could be fine.
And if anyone fancies a bit of a trip, you're more than welcome to come and stay. I've got a spare bed in either of my hotel rooms. Decide which one I go for.
Well, we'll see if we all. I mean, I've never been on holiday in 20. Well, I've never been on holiday with Dan. I've never been on holiday with Sam. But in 20 years plus, I've never actually been on holiday and left the country with Anthony. We've travelled to festivals together. We've stayed. We've certainly spooned, and we've seen bits of each other that we probably didn't plan to, and we've done some things that are not public, that should not be mentioned on this stream for fear of you being struck off the YouTube list, Andy. But we've never left the country, so actually it might come to it where we all get stressed out and we're like Andy, help!
He's good, yeah. No worries if you do. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. We're going to have a bit of a split wrestling fan base, I reckon. You'll see a lot of people around the stadium area, because there are a lot of hotels near the airport, and then there's a lot of hotels in downtown LA. So it'll be interesting to see how things kind of move around, because one of the things I think most people are aware of about Los Angeles is the traffic is absolutely hellish.
Yeah.
So if that freeway gets jammed, because I don't know about you guys, I've seen pictures of where it's at a complete standstill and it's about 7 lanes across each way, and it's just not moving. It'd be interesting to see anyone who's getting a bit nervous about moving between downtown and the stadium, or vice versa, for each of the events. So what I would say is,
sorry, Andy, so can I ask you a question about that in a moment?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought you were done. I'll let you please do finish that what you were saying.
No, keep going, mate. You go.
I was going to say, so on the Saturday, I know you and I discussed this before we came on very, very briefly, but Jack and I are going to NXT while Dom and Dan are hopping on the coach MVP are putting on and going to straight to the stadium. So we will be joining them a couple of hours later. We'll probably be joining them around the same time they get there, but because we'll be at NXT, we're going to hop in an Uber. So is that obviously this will be many hours before the actual show begins. Is that a feasible thing to do, or are we taking our life in our hands?
So from what I understand, and the research that I've done over the kind of past year or so since I knew I was going, was that there are a lot of Ubers. It's worth having Uber downloaded. There's a Lyft as well. I will download just in case, to give yourself like an alternative taxi firm to go through. Lyft, LYFT. I think there's one more as well that's kind of specialized in LA. So there are a lot going to be working. I think they're obviously used to the kind of events being there because SoFi Stadium hosts concerts for the, like Taylor Swift or the Weeknd, kind of had those there. So they're used to having to move a lot of people between downtown LA and the stadium. So it's definitely feasible. My plan is the same. I think I'll be getting an Uber. I might even share with you guys to split the cost even further.
Do you know what? That's a great idea because it's the two of you, Andy.
Just me.
Just you. All right, then. Looks like it's you, me, and Jack in an Uber. Let's do it. We'll find each other after the show and we'll do that. And if we have to wait, we'll go for a pint.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's like good advice for anyone is don't stress too much. There are public transport. There is public transport that you can get between them. I don't think that the train that they were building on, someone might be able to keep us right if they're watching and know this. There was supposed to be a train line between the stadium and downtown, but I don't think it's finished yet. Or it's kind of planned to be very close. But you can get buses that run between two and walk a little bit. But I think if you're wanting just to go straight forward, which most people were looking for, Uber's your way just to get from point A to point B. But one thing I would make sure people know is that they have announced at SoFi Stadium there is a no bag policy. So anyone who's going from NXT or is going from the WWE Superstore or from WrestleCon, do not take any bags because they will not let you in the stadium. I think the only thing they will let you in is with a clutch bag, like the sort of purses that some of the girls that are going or women that are attending WrestleMania might have. If you're a guy, you might have one as well. I'm not judging or anything. But when I say a clutch bag, I'm talking it's like a sort of small bag, really small. They normally they have clear bag policies, and of a certain dimension, they'll let you take it in as long as you kind of see through it. But SoFi Stadium is not allowing bags at all, so please bear that in mind.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, drop anything off. Getting around is going to be interesting. I had to pick this picture in particular. I'm very excited because I do keep a bit of an invested interest in the NFL, and my team is the Los Angeles Chargers, who never win anything. So it's not like I'm a glory sport or anything. But this is the home of the Chargers and the Rams. They share the stadium. It is a beautiful stadium as well. From what I've heard, there's no bad views within it. You can also see that amazing screen that goes the whole way around that is suspended in the air. And the good thing about the stadium in particular, which isn't always the case, is it has a roof, which the good news by what I mean by that is it should mean that there's not a canopy over the ring or there won't be like a very low canopy because what you tend to do is obviously in America, if there's an outdoor stadium, they need to make sure that either the sun isn't too hot and heating the mat up, or you don't want it to rain and absolutely like soak the mat. So with there being a roof, it means there won't be as many lighting rigs, which in previous years you might. I don't know if you could. I've never known if you could hear, especially the last few years. You guys might be able to tell me if you watched them live. There's always turn the light off chance. There's we can't see because you get the blinding lights. You'll notice it when you're there. That light up the crowds in sort of reds and blues and green and gold colours, but it just dazzles you. If you're at a certain level, you can't see anything other than a light in your eyes, and you're like, "Well, I've spent hundreds of dollars to be here, and I can't see a thing." New York was horrific for it. I thought there was going to be full-scale riots with people who just couldn't understand why they wouldn't dip the lights or anything. So my advice is if that happens for whatever reason, there are WWE agents who walk around who you can approach and say, I can't see, or this is happening, or someone around me is making me feel very uncomfortable. You can speak to them and they can do their best to try and move you to house seats, etc. So be on the lookout. They normally have lanyards around that says WWE on it, and they'll look very official. But approach them, be nice, be kind, and I'm sure they'll be willing to help you out as much as they can. But hopefully, with it being a roof, there shouldn't be horrific lighting rigs used. But how excited are you guys to see the stage unveiling? And will you watch or look on social media, or will you wait until you're in the stadium? Have you kind of even have a thought about that yet?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it. I probably won't. Once I'm there, I'll be too busy being there, watching my surroundings, making sure I don't bump into people, making sure people don't bump into me, making sure Anthony is still standing, making sure Sam is still standing, making sure Dan I actually trust to still be standing. So I'll be watching. I'll be just watching my surroundings. So I won't be checking my phone as much as I normally do. I do check it a lot. I'm on social media a lot, but in that kind of situation, where there's a lot of people around me and there's a lot going on, my attention has to be on my surroundings and whether there's a trip hazard, things like that. So I'll be when we get to the hotel, I'll be razor focused. When we're in the hotel, I'll be more chilled. When we're out of the hotel, anywhere, I'll be like focused on where I'm at. So I won't really, especially when we're getting there, when we're in the shuttle or whatever, I will be soaking it in. It will be probably one of the few times in the year where I am not on my phone all the time.
I imagine we'll see the stage on social media at some point, like even if we try to avoid it, or I think Jack will probably share it with us at some point, more than likely. But yeah, you don't have to worry about me, Dom. I'll be relatively well behaved.
I'm only joking.
I know, because I'll be razor focused as well. But yes, I will be having a few bits, of course. But yeah, it's. Well, I think like when we're done with shows or when we're in restaurants, I'll be a little bit more relaxed and stuff in terms of having a drink. But when we're at the shows, I kind of want to just see the show and give that my focus. You know what I mean? I think. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm not going to go out of my way to see it before, but if I do, I do. I'd never really thought about it until you posed the question. Because what I often do at WrestleMania is I wake up that morning. Because if I haven't stayed up to watch it, and I delete the social media apps off my phone, so I can't see any spoilers, and I live in a media blackout until I finish the show. I won't have to do that now because I'm there live, so that's interesting. But I suppose there's no spoilers I can see, but I don't really consider the set piece to be a spoiler. I think that's just going to hype me even more, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it's because it might have been last year. Did they get Dude Perfect, the guys who do all the sports stuff on YouTube and socials,
to
do the stage announcement where they kicked like a football and then it set off a load of fireworks and then, hey, this is the stage. But yeah, it's interesting because they're one of the guys who I've been previously. He's very much I don't want to know anything about the stage because I love seeing it when you walk into the stadium for the first time. You're like, oh, okay, like this is what they've gone for this year. And obviously, I'd be surprised if it's not some film-related stage, or is it just going to be a massive LED screen like they've done previously, or would they actually put a little bit behind it? Which I think every wrestling fan can remember their favorite. Well, I guess you've got to be of a certain age now because they haven't done it for a little while. Their favorite kind of stage set for a pay-per-view that they've seen. Like I love Backlash. Was it Backlash where they had the kind of big scythes that would like swing back and forth?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I think it was Backlash. Yeah.
Or the King of the Ring with the massive electric chair. That was really cool. So yeah, anything like that, I get really excited for. That's the kind of stuff where you're at WrestleMania when people are talking about something as trivial as like, what's the stage? Like, what's going on? Like that sort of thing. So yeah, the stadium looks beautiful. The whole surrounding area looks great. It's in the Inglewood area of LA, which I can't hear the words. I can't hear the word Inglewood without thinking of the Dr. Dre song. So really excited to kind of be in there. And as a Chargers fan, they normally do a lot of merchandise where they kind of like put like the whatever team that they're playing in their stadium. They'll put like the colors of like a WrestleMania jersey in the Chargers. They'll do it for the Rams, I'm sure. So I'll probably be spending way too much money in the shop buying Los Angeles Chargers related merch. But there is so much going on over the entire weekend. I've put literally just a snippet of the events that are happening. And there's literally, if you enjoy wrestling of any kind, there it will be a show for you. I'm sure there's even people who love wrestling but don't like WWE who still come to WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, there will be. Yeah. I know people that are going for Impact stuff. GCW is usually popular. Again, I think that's one of the things. I wanted to make sure that I had enough time to get to everything, and that we got to see Mania. But I think next, again, if I do this again, I'm going to make sure I have a plan. It's okay this time because, again, first time learning, whatever, seeing, getting the lay of the land and everything. In terms of how to get in to WrestleMania and stuff like that, and I've done like some of the other things you see, the Universal and all that stuff I've done, but in terms of the wrestling, like I definitely want to go to an Impact show. I'd love to go to an Impact show. I'd love to do Ring of Honor, obviously Supercard of Honor. So I think that's one of the things that I would say with the thing we've got. Obviously, it is very Mania focused, very WWE focused, which I'm fine with for this one. But I'd love to go to some of those shows. And I think a lot of people I know obviously make a full go of WrestleMania week. They go, they go to Ring of Honor, they go to GCW. I mean, it's great. It's a great week for wrestling, isn't it? It's a wonderful week for wrestling and wrestling fans. So I think there's so much on offer, and you've done a great job of collecting those as well.
It's a tough one as well, isn't it, guys? Because it's like, for example, like Supercard. If we weren't going to SmackDown, Supercard of Honor would be a massive draw on that Friday night. But because we're at SmackDown and the Hall of Fame, you can't be in two places at once because they're happening at the same time. So I think but what's good about this time that we're going, me and Dom and the crew, is it's very, very WWE focused. So we're doing all the WWE stuff. But yeah, I think let's say I watch WrestleMania at home, that I absolutely include Supercard of Honor, Impact show, New Japan show, Spring Break, GCW Spring Break, or what's the one that they do with Josh Barnett, Bloodsport.
Oh, Bloodsport, yeah.
Or WrestleCon. I love the WrestleCon Super Show every year. I absolutely love it. I used to love WWN's Mercury Rising as well. It's where I learned about Matt Riddle and Austin Theory and Keith Lee. So yeah, there's so much. Like, I'm going to get home from Mania and I'm going to go straight to my TV and watch all the stuff I haven't watched there. So it's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm just going to nip for a wee, guys. I'll be right back in 2 minutes. Sorry.
No worries. But yeah, as you can see on the right hand side as well, we've got this is kind of, I guess, like an issue with Los Angeles, and it's similar to Orlando and a bit of New York as well. When you're in a city where there's a lot of different things to do, it's very, and you kind of got to think, am I going to be back in this city? Am I going to come back at all? I think one of the problems with Arlington, with Dallas last year, and they've done it previously there before, there's not an awful lot to do. When you go to Los Angeles, you've got Universal Studios, you've got Warner Brothers Studios, Santa Monica Pier, you've got a couple of beaches that you might want to take in, you've got Hollywood Boulevard that you might want to go down and see the Chinese Theatre, you've got Whiskey A Go-Go, you've got the Viper Room. You might want to travel a little bit further afield, and you might want to go to Disneyland if you're a Disneyland Disney kind of person, which I am.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I actually fly out on Wednesday and arrive at 2:30 Los Angeles time. So for me, I'm kind of waiting on the kind of media side to see what the plans are. If I get in or not, then great. But yeah, it's amazing because if I don't get in, I'm spoilt for choice, because on the Thursday I might go to Universal Studios, or I might go to Disney, or and then I'm hoping with you guys I can tag along and go down Hollywood Boulevard, or we'll go drinking somewhere.
That'd be lovely. Yeah,
very excited for that. Or I might just take a stroll down Santa Monica Pier on the Wednesday night and see what's going on. But we are getting a couple of comments coming through.
Just Martin B there. If you're there, mate, just come and say hi to us. If you book with MVP Travel, you come and say hi. We'll probably be on the same shuttles, so come and say hi to us. Sorry, Andy, I interrupted you, but I'm just looking to make some more friends as well.
That's the great thing about WrestleMania weekend. Everyone's there for the same reason. We're all going because we enjoy wrestling, and it's a great time. And like, it's great going to these shows. It's great going to all these places that you might not get a chance to go to. But like, I think the thing you really do remember is like the people that you talk to, the friends that you like, that you make while you're out there. And Martin's part of the same group on WhatsApp that I'm in as well, which is run by a couple of great people on Facebook. So it looks like Martin's probably going to be one of your new best mates because he's in the same hotel as you as well. So
yeah, because we'll all be together, mate. Yeah.
We'll go to floor 18 where the bar is, where the after, like the late night bar is, Dom.
Mate, yeah, I love how much research you've done. I'm not a huge drinker, Sam, but I have said that I am going to have a couple of drinks on this trip. So you might be carrying me around, mate.
That's fine, mate. It's not about what you drink, mate. It's about being there and the people you're with. It's I love a couple of beers and a couple of cocktails.
I love how much research you've done into where the bar is.
Mate, ridiculous. Like, you wouldn't believe it. I sit there in bed at night, right? Jess is watching a whatever the crap she's watching,
right?
And I'm there on my iPad, like looking at the hotel, how far it is to this, how far it is to Whiskey A Go Go's, how far it is to that. I've got all this written down.
How far is it to Whiskey? Because that's all.
I've got it written down upstairs.
That's Anthony's bucket list. That's all Anthony. He's just always dreamed of doing that. So we have to do that. We have to do that for him, man.
100%, mate. Yeah, say the word. Yeah, because it's a weird one though, because we've got to figure out, we've got to be clever and work out when we're going to do some of these little trips, because near enough every single night we're at a wrestling event till late. So we're going to have to think of something, because we've got Monday where we're kind of twiddling our thumbs until the flight. And then we've got the Thursday night when we get there, we'll be knackered from the flight, but we can still go out and have a drink and have some food and stuff, can't we? So
yeah. So because I still can't believe we're doing the Raw after Mania. That's going to be amazing.
I know.
I'm hoping against hope. Put some predictions in the chat, everybody in the comments. But I'm hoping against hope that Jay White shows up.
Jay White
Raw after Mania, So let's
see. Mania, I think as well this year more than any. I think we're going to see a bit more emphasis, because I think the last 2 years have been a little bit flat. So I think Triple H being in charge, I think he's really going to put some stock in it, because he fully understands why the fans, and who the fans are that are going to be there. It gives you that nice international flavour, and they always try and big it up on the commentary. But yeah, so the last 2 years haven't been what people would probably hope. So I think they'll go big this year. So again, another couple of ones. We'll go through, because on the Friday, in terms of WWE, we'll cover that. We've got SmackDown straight into Hall of Fame. Now, interesting this year, Hall of Fame, we haven't had any official announcements yet in terms of who's going into the class of 2023. Possibly because this year they aren't struggling to sell tickets, because it goes straight from SmackDown. If you're in for Hall of Fame as well. It's sold out, I believe. It doesn't matter. So they could just announce everyone at the same time if they wanted to. But Mark and Misfit Wrestling Podcast, as mentioned, Great Muta will be the first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class 2023. Per PW Insider, his induction will be announced on SmackDown tonight. Nice. We'll also apparently tonight be getting Legado del Fantasma versus Judgment Day on SmackDown.
That's cool.
Which guys, you plug what's going to go down in about an hour and a half, as you'll be covering that, I believe.
Go on, Sam. You do the plug-in.
Andy's already done most of it, but yeah. So Dom and I and Andy, you're very welcome to join us if you like.
I will.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That'd be cool. So basically, guys,
He wasn't going to do that until you. He was like, I believe you
invited him. I only invited him.
I'm happy. I'm always happy to have him, but I'm like, I never want to feel like I'm pressuring people into it.
I don't think I pressured Andy then. I gave him a very gentle invite. Andy, if you want to go to bed, mate, with you where your wife is, and I'm sure where your children are, I know you've just got a little one. So if you want to go and be with the family, you go and be with the family. But if you want to be with us and cover SmackDown,
instead watching SmackDown with the lads.
If you want to stay up, mate, till 3 a.m. and you're not getting paid for it, come and do it. But anyway, yeah. So basically, guys, Martin, we'll see you there, mate. So GimmieAHullYeah podcast, 1 a.m. UK time. I don't know what it is in other time zones. I'm very sorry, because I'm in my little Eurocentric bubble here. But yeah, come and join us. We'll be covering the show from the beginning and the end. We do it. Dom and I tend to do it every week. But We're going to watch the show and we're going to talk about it. If you want to hear us talk crap about wrestling, come and join us. We're pretty good at it. There we go.
We're very good at it. Very good at it indeed.
And while you're there, then go and subscribe to WrestleSphere as well, if you like, because that's where we actually behave professionally.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully.
What else have we got here? Mark LFC UK reports are also saying WWE have put Lexi Bliss on hiatus, and it's not the other way around. Yet Alexa Bliss hasn't been seen on program for a little while, but we'll keep it more to do at the moment. We'll keep this more about LA, but I'm sure we can discuss that a bit more on the stream coming up.
Yes,
when the time arises. So we're not going to really kind of go into any detail about the cards, but I think that's worth its own kind of thing. We'll keep it a bit more succinct, but the card is starting to stack up. In terms of your excitement levels, what are we at the moment for the card itself?
I mean, Sam, because I've got some things to say about
I have
matches
two
on this card, but that haven't, they're on there. But I've got wonderful things to say about other matches. So you go first, because I'm going to have a little bit of a rant.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this brief, and I'm going to try not to steal your thunder, because I'm fairly sure I know where you're going with this. But yeah, main event, all over it. The tag team match that we all know is probably going to happen, all over it. All the two women's matches, I'm really, really into. I can't wait. Damage Control versus the three other legends, superb. Cena versus Theory, works. Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins, like it. Now, my two sticking points are Brock Lesnar versus Omos. I like both guys. I think Omos is definitely a good superstar. He's got a home there. Looking at a big dude like him. I love Brock Lesnar. I can watch Brock Lesnar matches all day. But I just don't. Omos just doesn't have the star power to be on Lesnar's level yet. But maybe he will after this. Who knows? And again, I love Bobby Lashley and I love Bray Wyatt. I love those two very much. But I feel like they've been thrown together for this card. And I'm not yet feeling that match. Although I do love both guys. But over to you, Dom.
Well, I can let loose. I can let loose on here. Whereas my role on the Inside is on Monday, Insider's Wrestling Podcast. Some of you guys obviously know, come over from there too. I love those guys, and I want to be very clear that I love that team. Obviously, the only Bray Wyatt specific podcast on YouTube. But yeah, that card looks amazing, doesn't it? Mouth-watering. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Couldn't have imagined a better match for Cody. Could have imagined there's no better match for Roman Reigns. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, again, brilliant. You're gonna have Rhea Ripley completely destroy Charlotte Flair in that. This is not a predictions video, I'm aware, but Rhea Ripley is obviously the most over woman, I would say, on the roster at the moment. It makes loads of sense. I'm a little bit disappointed in the development of the Bianca Belair and Asuka storyline. Asuka, of course, returning at the Rumble. Looking great. Obviously, there is also an interview on Soundsphere that I did, that Andy wrote up with Jason Baker, who designed Asuka's mask for that return. But yeah, wonderful return. Little bit lackluster since then. I'm very excited about it. I think it'll be a great match. I think they'll both put each other through their paces. And I think Asuka should win that. I realize I'm booking a lot of title changes because I think Cody's going to win as well. Brock Lesnar and Omos. Word is, of course, that Brock turned down a match with Bray in favor of the match with Omos. And I guess from a WrestleMania perspective and a spectacle, especially if Vince is back involved, I can understand why Omos and Brock Lesnar is there. Seth Rollins and Logan Paul, about a year and a half ago, I would have laughed at this and gone, why is that there? Why is Logan Paul here? But Logan Paul, I think it's fair to say, has more than earned his stripes in a wrestling ring, and I believe they will put on what could potentially be the match of the night. And I wouldn't be surprised if Logan Paul comes out of that looking amazing, possibly in defeat, but still looking amazing. Props to Logan Paul for all of his excellent, training that he's done. Austin Theory versus Cena. Got to have Cena at Mania, man. If you're not going to have The Rock, got to have Cena there to put over Austin Theory. Austin Theory is a wonderful representation of what I believe the WWE is looking for in its future stars, future world champion without question. And who better to go over to solidify that? I believe John Cena is not going to be particularly proud even at WrestleMania. I mean, he did lose to The Undertaker in a few years back. I don't think he's particularly proud if he's doing something he enjoys. He's back at Mania. He'll get the fanfare. He'll get the love. And he'll be able to put over Austin Theory rather at the same time. Damage Control and Becky, Trish and Lita. Cool. You got the legends in there. You've got the new blood. Damage Control and Becky. I know. They've all been around for a long time, but compared to Trish and Lita, anyway, good little star-studded match. I dig that. Apparently, people talk about Trish turning on Becky and Lita. I'd be up for that. So that's beautiful. Of the matches that are not confirmed yet, we have Edge and Balor in a Hell in a Cell, as Martin B has discussed. We're going to see the Demon Balor potentially return. If the Demon Balor does return, lads, I would like to see the Demon Balor beat Edge, because the Demon Balor looked ridiculous in his sort of circus, whatever he did with Roman Reigns, where he fell off the rope. And I know it's not his fault. It's terrible booking, but there we are. I'd like to see the Demon Balor back, and I'd like to see him beat Edge if it happens. And then we get to Bray and Bobby Lashley. I'm not in on this. I'm not in on this Bray Wyatt stuff, man. And I am a huge Bray fan. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. Whatever this is, I believe it's the weakest iteration of Bray. I'm aware there are external reasons why he is off TV, and I'm sure the insiders will inform you on what they are on Monday. Currently, due to external factors beyond his control. But this has been a slow burn, and I love stories and I love movies and comic books, and I talk a lot about that on the Insiders, how this whole thing should have been a comic book or a movie. But this is, I mean, I'll talk. You guys will talk about it, I'm sure, and your thoughts. But I'm one of the biggest Bray fans going, but I'm a bit of a realist, and I'm not in it. And I believe, like Sam said, this has been thrown together. They needed to get Bobby on the card. They need to get Bray on the card as two big stars. And I'm not entirely sure they know what they're going to do yet. I'm not entirely sure they're going to put on a match that isn't the weakest match on the card. And that's really sad to say, because I was over the moon when Bray came back, and I've been over the moon on SmackDowns with you, Sam, and I've talked to you, Andy, loads about my love for Bray. So I'm actually deflated. I actually wish they'd do that on the SmackDown before Mania, and we just had this card, and that's it's quite sad. I haven't obviously thought about it as extensively as this before this stream. So I'd rather that match wasn't on the card, to be honest. I'm talking about Bray and Bobby there. What about you guys?
I think I've said my piece, about that. It's the Bray stuff and the Brock and the Omos stuff like that. I thought I'd be super excited by anything Brock, Bray, and Lashley did, and I found myself a little bit like, really, to both. I kind of wanted to see Bray do something with Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy. Maybe they're going to spin the wheels on that a little bit longer. That's fine if they know what they're doing. But do they? I kind of wanted Lesnar and Lashley to actually have a proper match, because they haven't had one yet. We've had a couple of matches. Have they had 2 or 3 matches with them? Every single one has been a 5-minute snooze fest that ends in a crap finish. Like, we've still not had the Brock and Lashley match. And I still don't understand why Brock was attacking Lashley before Saudi Arabia and all that. That's the stuff, like the Bray Wyatt stuff and the Brock and Lashley stuff, that's the stuff I want to get really excited by, but I'm not, and it's frustrated me. So what do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, we could probably, we could go on for another hour about all like different aspects of the different matches, but I think you guys have kind of summarized very, very nicely on terms of the match that these are just the ones we have confirmed. As Martin said, we've still got Edge and Balor to probably be added in there as well on Monday, I believe. We've got what I would imagine will be night one's main event of the Usos versus Sami and KO to be added on there as well. The IC match is still to be added on there, and maybe one or two more. I don't think we'll get much more than what we've got there on those matches, because Triple H seems to like the kind of like tighter cards. Even for WrestleMania, I can see there only being maybe 7 matches each night. And any more than that, you kind of do seem to suffer a little bit from wrestling fatigue, and it's over 2 nights that could be quite deadly for the main event. They'll be wanting to keep a lot of energy going into Reigns versus Rhodes. So I think we're only about 4, maybe 5 matches in total away from having the full card, and then they'll start to split them out over each night. But in terms of a card, I actually think this is a very well built card. As much as you're not maybe necessarily looking forward to the things like Bobby Lashley versus Bray Wyatt, I can guarantee you will be talking about it afterwards on the basis that I'm sure there'll be talking points. Whether that's good talking points or bad talking points, I'm sure we'll be talking about it either way. And that's the same for a lot of these matches. You could argue that seeing Trish and Lita on WrestleMania stage, that's really cool for a lot of people who grew up seeing those and not really having the opportunity to get a match on the WrestleMania card, not a serious one anyway. Rollins versus Logan Paul, I completely agree with Dom. I think that's going to be the one that steals the weekend. So yeah, I'd say in terms of like if you were trying to rank this into on a 1 to 10 for how excited am I for this card, right now I'd probably put it around a 6 going into a 7. But those extra 3 matches that we know are coming bump that up easily to an 8. I think maybe missing one more returning star would have been nice in either The Rock or Stone Cold just to get that massive pop. But hey, it's WrestleMania. Anything can happen. They might appear. We don't know that yet. I'd also give a big shout out to NXT. Myself and Sam were talking about this before. There's 2 matches confirmed for Stand and Deliver. We've got Carmelo Hayes will be challenging Bron Breakker for the NXT title, which has the potential to be a great match. Both of those I can see on next year's WrestleMania card potentially. I think there's easily an argument to be made for those guys moving up quite quickly. I think we might even see Bron Breakker on. You guys might see him in the Crypto Arena on Monday on Raw as early as that. And then we've also got Grayson Waller versus a returning Johnny Gargano to NXT, which I think will be a great rematch for what they had. How long ago was it now? It feels like it was ages ago. Like Johnny's been gone from the company and been back since that happened.
He attacked him and sent him scurrying, didn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
When he got I remember. Sorry, I've forgotten about that.
There's history there. But yeah, I think NXT is also going to be a great show. The Ring of Honor Super card looks like a great card as well.
Yeah.
And I think I'm right in saying this might be Tony Khan's first presence on a WrestleMania weekend, even though it's not an AEW card. His kind of fingerprints will be all over that. So it'd be interesting to see how many people are kind of talking about that coming out of that event over the weekend as well. So, as I said, there's plenty of events for everyone, but I think it's probably best to sort of bring it to a close here. One thing I would like to say is anyone who's going for their first time, or even to a WWE event for the first time, the best moment for me, and I really hope you guys kind of like take this in as well, is there's a moment just before that it goes live and the lights kind of get dipped and you see on the screen the warning, like the private pirating privacy warning, whatever it is that comes up. The whole stadium just seems to like kind of almost shake in anticipation. And then you get that opening sting, Then, Now, and Forever. And the whole place just goes crazy. That is the moment when you'll know you're at WrestleMania, because we experienced that at Clash at the Castle. It's so much different at WrestleMania. You feel like the kind of the heat off of everyone that's there. also, while I'm saying that, please, for the love of God, anyone who's watching this, or as far as it goes, have a wash. There's some very smelly people at WrestleMania. It can ruin the whole event for you if you don't. Antiperspirant, have a shower. It's going to be hot. Get yourself, just do everyone a favor and make sure you take care of your hygiene as well. Sounds weird. You'll know what I mean, because it will happen at some point over the weekend.
Oh, you're joking, really?
Oh, yeah, 100%. But as I say,
good to know. Good to know, man.
Just
shall we just bring one and pass it around, guys? Pass it on. Go on. Pass it around.
100%. But yeah, definitely those little moments are the ones where it will really make you a weekend. And I'm hoping when you're there, you fully understand what I mean, because I always try and tell people, get in nice and early. Don't stress yourself out. Get into your seat, have a look, go back and go get your food and drink or whatever. Pay the overpriced. Well, I'm sure it's about $18 for a can of beer. Or something ridiculous inside SoFi, but there's no better feeling watching wrestling live, especially WrestleMania, with a beer in your hand or a drink in your hand. If you don't want to drink, that's fine. Get yourself a bottle of water, get to your seat nice and early, soak in the atmosphere, as it was said earlier. I think it was Martin was saying, soak in every minute. We'll all be enjoying it. But just to close out, what's the one thing you are looking forward to the most about WrestleMania weekend? And I'd throw that to the people who are watching. Martin, if you're still on, I'm interested in what you are thinking as well.
Yeah.
One thing about WrestleMania, whether it's a match, an event, a thing, let me know. What is it? Dom, let's start with you, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it back to you in a second, man, because I'd like to hear your thing as well at the end of this. But for me, again, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. For me, this is really is a dream come true. I never thought I'd get to a Mania when I was a kid. I never thought I'd get to, work in wrestling journalism or whatever. But just going to Mania as a fan was a dream come true. And for me to be able to do that with people that I care about, look, maybe, that I've either worked with or that I just love, brothers, is just a really special kind of moment. You know what I mean? So for me, things could go wrong. Things could go wrong. Someone could fall over. Anthony could fall over. Sam could fall. Anything could happen. We could all get too wasted to make WrestleMania. No, that's not going to happen. But whatever happens, just being there with my mates for this one is, whatever happens in future Manias, if we're there as media and we're running around like blue ass flies trying to get interviews, that's all cool. But but this is about me and my mates, and new friends and old friends, Anthony, Dan, you both, it's a special thing. You know what I mean? I'm getting a little bit yes, I can't believe it's happening. It's actually really cool to think about. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the matches, but way less than I'm actually looking forward to doing it with you guys, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, Sam.
Mine's I don't mean to cop out. It's kind of it's that same thing. That now this is going to sound quite weird. My wrestling fandom has been quite a solitary thing for a lot of my life. I've got lots of mates, lots of people who I can talk about games with, sport with. I can go out for a drink with. I'm spoiled for choice with my group of friends. They're such a great bunch, but I've never had that wrestling group. I've had to find all that externally, like online or wherever. WrestleMania is always something I've done alone. Like, my wife is great; she dips in and out. She came to Clash at the Castle with me. Obviously, we knew Dom wasn't far, so but she jumped in the car wearing a Finn Balor t-shirt and drove 5 hours with me to Cardiff for a weekend. So my point is, I'm looking forward to. I didn't have this camaraderie with wrestling until I joined GimmieAHullYeah as a guest at first, and then 6 months or whatever it's been later, I'm still staying up till 3 a.m.
It'll get you, man. I told you this. I told you this. It's addicting.
I know what you were doing. So it's kind of the same what Dom said. I'm sorry to be a letdown, but I think it's the first time I've ever said this verbally out loud. But it's looking forward to having just that. Sorry, one more thing. When I went to Clash at the Castle, before we all went in, there was a Weatherspoons outside in Cardiff where Jess and I popped in for a drink and queued forever to get a plastic cup pint that was warm. But there was a group of lads sat there, all with their last year's WrestleMania t-shirts that they had custom made for them as a group. Now, I don't know if they were a podcast or just a group of mates who were all wrestling fans together. But I remember just thinking to myself, I wish I had that. And that is what I have going to this WrestleMania. And that is the thing that I'm most looking forward to. The card is great. Everything else is great. The bars will be great. The sun shining will be great. But it's that's the thing I'm going for. Sorry, I didn't think I had anything to say. I had a lot to say.
No. I mean, the fact that you both said that, and then I can see Martin, his comment is very much of the same ilk. Favorite part of Mania weekend is fan interaction, making new friends and connections. Wrestling's incredible, but it's everything else around it that I love the most. And I think if you ask anyone who goes to WrestleMania kind of like year on year, it's very similar. That's the thing that kind of makes you want to go back. It's the feeling of, I think the best way you can kind of explain it is wrestling's not, and probably isn't really to a lot of people, a very cool thing. It's not really kind of mainstream as it used to be maybe in the 90s. And when you find the people that enjoy wrestling and love wrestling and have that kind of same passion for it, it's amazing. So to have that many people in one area really be passionate enough to spend hundreds and probably in some cases thousands of pounds and dollars to get there and experience it. We're all there for the same reason. We all want to see a great show, but we want to do it together as well. And you kind of find that place of belonging, which I think, not to get kind of too deep, it's everyone's kind of looking for that. And when you can enjoy one of your passions with people who are equally as passionate, it's amazing. Sometimes that spills over, whether it's on social media and you see people get into arguments or whatever. But generally, the atmosphere at WrestleMania is exactly along the lines of what you guys have said is the thing you're looking forward to the most. My perspective, one of the things I am looking forward to is having a newborn is a good night's sleep on my own.
Yes.
If my wife watches this back, that's not why I'm going. I'm very much of the same kind of ilk of like, I'm looking forward to meeting up with you guys. I'm looking forward to just kind of being surrounded by people who are all, wrestling crazy enough to go to LA and experience it. And it's probably all the things you do outside of wrestling as well that you remember, because we can buy a Blu-ray or a DVD or watch it on the network back, but you'll never get those experiences. You'll never be able to relive them. So those memories you kind of hold very close. So yeah, we got quite deep at the end there, but honestly, I think you'll both have a great time. I'm really looking forward to kind of meeting you both. Dom, we've met in person before, but Sam, it'd be great to actually shake your hands or give you a man hug or whatever.
There are plenty of man hugs. I'm hugging everybody. I'm just saying, like,
share a beer or two or a whiskey or whatever. But yeah, I know we're going to go on to a live stream soon. But for anyone who's not, Martin bought the seat behind me or in front of me for
nice.
SmackDown.
Oh, awesome.
So Martin's going to be all our best friend. He's going to be a common denominator throughout the weekend. So
I can't wait, Martin.
Yeah, look forward to meeting you, mate. And like I say, Andy, you're going to be a huge part of my enjoyment too. And obviously, it's great to be on these streams with you, mate, and great to have the platform, whatever, to promote GimmieAHullYeah and all that stuff. But fundamentally, as I've said to you many times, because you've been a huge help for me. But like meeting you in Cardiff, like was great because I was hugely anxious during that weekend, and you were super supportive there. You've been super supportive by doing stuff like this because it kind of calms me down a little bit because I know I'm going to have good people around me. So like, I'm really excited to see you again, mate. And yeah, I mean, me and Sam have had chips and chip spice together.
Yeah.
But we've never been to WrestleMania, so
No.
I'm excited about that,
Great. Well,
got
you can see on Sam, you've got your Twitter there, Sam Smith _1987.
That's it. Yeah, my nice boring handle. Yes.
Anywhere else people can find you?
Well, there's several places I hang out, so that's my personal Twitter. Although I kind of use it professionally most of the time, really. But yeah, WrestleSphere, Deserto, Soundsphere, and GimmieAHullYeah would be the 4 things I'd ask you to follow as well. The podcast that we're all going to in about an hour. WrestleSphere is the wrestling arm of Soundsphere magazine, and Deserto are my fantastic gaming employers, because in my day job I am a gaming journalist. I am a wrestling journalist by night, like a crap Batman.
Dom, you can see your Twitter handle there, which yours is a ridiculous one to have to read out, by the way. It looks like it's like D0M_SM1TH.
That's it. You've nailed it. You've nailed it.
You have a plethora of places as well, I believe, that you can find yourself.
Yeah, so go on Twitter. On Twitter, everything is there. But yeah, Soundsphere is where we promote some of the biggest artists, musicians in the world, as well as some of the best up and coming artists in the world. GimmieAHullYeah, where we'll be in an hour, has live streams of most of the biggest, well, pretty much for the last 4 or 5 years. We've been streaming the biggest wrestling events in the world to a range of audiences. We've grown to be monetized now, which is a great privilege and a pleasure. We used to do interviews there as well, so you can see quite a range of interviews from WWE, AEW, and Impact Wrestling. We've now obviously moved those over to WrestleSphere, which is a website, WrestleSphere.com. Wrestle and then Sphere, SPHERE. We are doing official content from official platforms, WWE, Impact Wrestling, AEW, and the like, and exclusive interview content. So there'll be more stuff coming up there. We're constantly updating that every day if we can. So please do keep an eye on WrestleSphere. Go keep an eye on Soundsphere. Support us any way you can. We're still growing. We're always growing. We're not massive, so we always need the support. So please do drop us a like and a subscribe and all that knackers. And support Wrestling Royalty as well. Support Wrestling Royalty. I've finally found your YouTube, and I've subscribed to it from the GimmieAHullYeah page. So go and support Wrestling Royalty as well.
I'm gonna do it too.
So, yeah, because I've been on a bunch of the streams, but then I've searched for Wrestling Royalty, and obviously loads of stuff comes up. But I finally found Andy Spores as Wrestling Royalty. So go and subscribe to this channel, support this channel, and make sure that Andy feels the love that from you guys that we also have for him. And I think you guys know, as much as I joke about getting you involved and persuading you to come and do live streams and things, I think you guys can tell that I genuinely mean, I'm very lucky to have you guys, and very lucky to have these platforms and just people that want to do stuff with me. So thanks to you guys, both of you.
I don't think this. I was sorry, Dom. To ruin your nice moment with this, but I don't think this is you, is it, Andy? It's hang on, Saraya and Paige.
No, not that one. Not that one.
No,
not that one. Just search Andrew Spores Wrestling Royalty, and I think it comes up.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's I was assigned. I don't even know why I wasn't allowed to pick my my YouTube handle or whatever. But if you look for Andrew Spores 6029, you will find this on YouTube, or if you want, just look for @Sporesy19 on Twitter.
You can change it up. So you've subscribed. I've subscribed. You've now got 10. You've now got 10 subscribers. So let's grow that, guys. It's Andrew Spores 6029, but you can change it. To
I'll make it easier for everyone to find, and I'll update you all. But follow me on Twitter, and then I'll give you all the information on there. I really appreciate everyone joining. Just a couple of things from me. If you want to see my work and my kind of passion, it's the kind of features we put on rushonrock.com. I feel like now I've got to start doing it as like LA Knight and be like Rush on Rock, and then go down that way. But yeah, all my features, all my work on there. I love writing about wrestling. I love finding the stories, delving in very deep on that. That's what it's about for me. You can see some of my work now on Soundsphere with Dom. There's a great feature on there. I've really enjoyed writing it, which was based on an interview that Dom did with Jason Baker. So go check that out. Amazing. But I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's watched tonight, anyone who's going to watch in the future. I really hope this helps you in terms of planning for WrestleMania. Hopefully, we might even book it all together at some point, maybe Philadelphia next year.
Yeah,
man. But looking forward to seeing you if you're going to be out there. If you're not and you have a question about going to a future one, drop me a message on Twitter. I'm always happy to help. That's the way, pay it forward. I'm always happy to help out anyone who ever needs any help. Maybe not financially, but definitely knowledge-wise, I can help you out there. But yeah, look forward to seeing you. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for everything. Let me play my outro, because I've got an outro as well, just because, appreciate you. See you next time. Hopefully for a big WrestleMania preview of the actual card. Thanks to Dom, thanks to Sam, and we'll catch you next time.